All right, so we are live with Rowan Salisbury School CTE. This is work-based webinar Wednesday. We're just gonna let some people come into the room so we can, and then we'll begin our conversation. It's gonna be a great dialogue today. Hope everyone learns a lot. So we're just gonna wait for a while. But how y'all doing today, Mr. Johnson and Kaya? Y'all doing all right?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Doing great, man.
Good, good. Y'all looking great. Kaya, you happy today? You got a big smile on today. What you got going on today?
Nay.
Ooh,
Nay.
just happy to be here. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So, just to be respectful of everybody's time, we're gonna go ahead and get started. This is Work-Based Webinar Wednesday. I'm Dominique Bates. I am the Associate CTE Director of Work-Based Learning and Community Partnerships. I have my intern with me. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Kaya.
My name is Makai McDaniel, and I'm a senior at Norfolk One High School.
Absolutely. And then we have special guest on today, Mr. Anthony Johnson.
Anthony Johnson, Education Leadership Executive for Apple, North and South Carolina.
Right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Mr. Johnson, can you tell us a little bit about your journey to get where you are today?
All right. I never imagined I would ever be doing this, what I'm doing now, working at Apple. My experiences were not good in school. Ended up failing 4 grades and dropping out of school. And had a rough life, with no education, with just a GED. And parents died 6 months apart in 1998, did a lot of soul searching and just decided to become a teacher. And wanted to be a teacher because I wanted to give kids a different experience than my own in school. So for 17 years, I worked in public education. I taught everything from elementary, middle to high school, was teacher of the year, 2017. Did a lot of things in education. But I also furthered my education. I have a bachelor's degree from Livingstone College, and I spent 2 years working on a master's degree with Kansas University. So I received my master's last summer. And that master's degree opened up the door for me to work at Apple, because at minimum, you needed a master's degree to have this position. And I didn't seek it, decided years ago that I just wanted to work for Apple. It just happened. The position was open. I applied for it. It was a long shot, and I got it. And now I get to work with not only, my students who were assigned to me or the kids in my school, but I get to work with school districts all over, basically the whole East Coast. My territory, I'm assigned to North and South Carolina, but I work with districts all the way from Maine to Florida.
So I just want to say that Mr. Johnson is somebody who inspires me. Mr. Johnson, you inspire me. I have watched some of your education journey as an educator, and I've always been inspired by the way that you just continue to evolve, and the way that you always, just spoke to your students and spoke life into them and made things relative, and also you was also able to keep it real with your students and just give them some real life experiences. So I appreciate what you have done in the education room, and you're continuing to do today.
Thank you.
So could you tell us who inspired you?
Who inspired me? My parents. I live with a lot of guilt. because my mom used to put me on the school bus and tell me to go to school and do good things. But when she was alive, I did the complete opposite. I went to school and tore the classroom up. I didn't listen to the teachers. I didn't do any work. So now I have to live with that. That guilt, and everything I do now is to make her proud. Is to do all of those things she wanted me to do when she was alive. I didn't do it. So that what drives me now.
Absolutely. And I think it's the same. It needs to be the same way for some of our viewers, some of our students that are watching. You got to have that one person, at least that one person, that drives you to do better, that drives you to and motivates you to just do what's best for yourself. And so I'm over here taking notes, and what I'm hearing, I'm always taking notes. So that's another cue for our viewers. Take notes, take copious notes, and then just review them. But what I'm hearing is when opportunity knocks, you might not even see it as an opportunity, but you need to take risks and take advantage of those opportunities. And so that's my advice for the students that are watching. Mr. Johnson, what is your best advice for students who want to pursue a similar career?
One, get your education and don't stop, because the world is always changing. You have to adapt. I mean, just look at the situation right now. Last year at this time, we were all in school, and now everybody is social distance. We WebEx and Zoom calls is now like the norm, and you have to adjust with it, and you have to educate yourself. Don't just stop. I could have stopped. I got my BA from Livingstone College, and I could have stopped right there. But where would I be if I had just sit on that degree? You have to keep learning, and the world is going to keep changing. I just think about, I do this all the time. I think about Netflix and YouTube. That stuff wasn't even around 15 years ago. Remember, we were going to Blockbuster Video to rent videos.
Doorstep video.
Right. And that stuff, and if you look at those companies, is Blockbuster around right now?
Nope.
Are these companies around because they didn't adapt? So, you have to adapt and keep educating yourself. I do it, even though, I'm not in the school, I still read. I still try to learn, the latest things going on with technology. Believe it or not, I spend a lot of time on YouTube researching, and, just so whenever an opportunity happens, you have to be equipped in order to get through that door. Even if the door is open, you have to be ready in order to walk through that door.
Mm-hmm. What kind of books are you? What's some of the books that you're reading right now?
Everything. I wish you name it, other people's children, creative, confidence, you name it. It's whatever. We get a lot of recommendations working from Apple. We have different people on our team. I'm reading this. Check this out. It doesn't have to be a book. It can be a podcast.
Yeah.
A YouTube video. It's articles. It all depends.
Yep. So I know you said that you never imagined that you would even be an Apple employee, and you have been for a few months now. And how's that been for you?
Great. It's been awesome. I feel like I'm working with like-minded people that think the same way that I do. I think a lot of times when I was in the classroom, I kind of felt like I was on an island sometimes. Mm-hmm. That nobody saw education the way that I did, because a lot of it is, my fellow coworkers, their path to the classroom was different from mine. They knew they wanted to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. And their path, through the classroom and education was a lot different. So I never wanted to be a teacher. I didn't like my teachers. I can't tell you half of the teacher's name that I was in their classes, because I never made a connection to them. And That's just something that I just never desired, to do. But now, when I became a teacher, I just saw education a lot different because I was out there in that world with a GED. I struggled. I worked from job to job, and I know how important education was. That if I didn't educate my students and give them the best experience that I could, they were going to go down that same path that I went on.
Yeah. So what was it that made you take that leap? That made you say, "Man, I'm just gonna apply for this teacher position." You know what I mean? Like, how did you get into
To become a teacher or Apple? To become a teacher, that was, if you recall, when I moved here in 1998, I buried my mom in New Orleans. And the very next day, I moved to North Carolina. I didn't know anybody. And I didn't even want to be here. I didn't know anybody. I had just lost my mom, and I'm in a new state, uh, new area, and I was depressed. And then coming out of that depression right before Christmas, I had to go back to New Orleans and bury my dad. So I really became depressed. And when you're depressed and you're sitting by yourself, you think about a lot of things. And I was 27 years old, and I just, like, Lord, why me? How did I get to this point in my life? And just thinking about it all day for hours. Where did my problems start? Where did I go down this wrong path? It was in the classroom, fourth grade classroom. And that's when I decided that I wanted to be a teacher and that my life was going to have purpose. And what better way to have purpose in your life is to educate others.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to become a teacher.
Yep. That's a great story, man. But and there's a lot that students can learn from it, and I'm learning a lot from it. What I'm hearing is, you're gonna have obstacles that place you in different places for a reason. And so it wasn't a coincidence that you ended up in education. It wasn't a coincidence that you had a technology that you have a technology or a tech forward type of mind, and you taught your students those kind of things too.
And
So,
one thing I can share with you, a friend of mine told me this because, like I said, I was depressed and I felt like everything, was coming to me. But think about this when an airplane is about to take off.
mm-hmm.
What does it have to do? When it's on that runway, it has to turn into the wind. It has to turn into the wind in order to take off.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to go against that wind in order to achieve those heights. And that's what life is. A lot of times, if the wind is blowing towards you and storms and all this other stuff, and you turn away from it, you're never gonna reach those heights where you need to be. And sometimes, you have that turbulence that you hit. You've been on the plane when you're hitting those clouds and you're trying to go, and the plane is shaking and you're nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, when you hit those clouds, it's what? Smooth sailing.
That's it.
Then you can see clearly and you can see God's creation.
Love it. Love. Put it beautiful. So, what are some? I know you're tech forward. So what in your opinion? What's some of the up and coming technology that we have to look forward to, especially like in education for our students?
I would say augmented reality with
Okay.
using AR, especially with the iPad. You think about it. I don't know if you, you recall when I did that rocket launch in front of the school.
Yeah.
There were some people that actually thought that we launched a rocket from North Point High School. And that was some old technology, but it has improved so much now. And you can interact in those spaces. I think that's going to be the game changer in education. When you talk about teachers learning, kids have to learn about the human body.
Mm-hmm.
If you can take a whole human body and put it inside the classroom and dissect it, it's going to be cool.
Yeah. Kaya, do you know what augmented reality is? Okay.
No.
Uh-oh.
Teach us something, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, we're gonna have a session. I have to get you one of those iPads and show you some things.
Yeah, because that's the wave of the future, man.
Mm-hmm.
So for students, Mr. Johnson, what are some of the best resources that they can be using right now? What are some things that they can be researching right now if they want to go into an IT career field or advanced technology career field? What do they need to be doing?
Learning as much as possible. And like I said, there are so many resources that students have that we didn't have. YouTube, podcasts, articles. There's so much information. You won't believe how much time I spend in the evening just absorbing all of this new technology and just different resources. I mean, think about if a couple of years ago I had to do repair something in my house. I didn't have to call a repairman. I was on YouTube. I watched that video a couple of times, and I was able to do that for myself. We didn't have that knowledge before. We always had to call someone else. But there's so many resources and so many things that you can learn from. You just have to take advantage of.
Yep, that's awesome. And so, I think you gave us some great information today. Is there anything else that we didn't cover, Mr. Johnson, that you think that our students should know about life, about education, about becoming a professional one day?
Education. Education is the key. What you put in your brain, nobody can take that from you. And especially, this day and age, you have an education, you're going to be okay. It doesn't matter who's in the White House or the State House. If you have that education, you can pretty much write your own ticket. You have to set yourself apart. I've been to Germany and I've been to China. I've been to Mexico. A lot of those schools, they are preparing students to come over here and to compete for the same jobs that you're going to be competing in.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you going to win? Education. You're going to have to, and don't stop, just with high school. Get your bachelor, get your master's, and keep moving. And adapt. That's one of the things I tell students all of the time. I have 3 daughters. I tell them the same thing. You have to adapt. This world is constantly changing.
It's forever evolving.
Right.
Every single day, every single minute, there's something new going on, and so we got to evolve with the time. I never thought that I would be sitting here. This is my way of getting guest speakers in our classroom now.
Right.
It's very non-traditional, but sometimes non-traditional times it just takes non-traditional measures. So, we got to get used to what I always tell people. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Some of this stuff you can't. You're not just gonna be able to wake up and do it, feel good doing it. While you're doing it, you got to challenge yourself sometimes. So, man, great words. And before we leave, Kaya, what did you learn? Because I see you've been there taking it all in. What did you learn?
I learned a little bit more about Mr. Johnson today, and I learned to adapt. I don't know why, but that word is kind of like, sticking out to me for some reason. Because I just feel like it's so important because you never know what's going to happen in the world, and you ain't got no choice but to learn to adapt to it,
And if you think about it, when you're playing basketball and somebody has been studying your moves, and every time you go and you try to do your signature move, that person already is anticipating it. What are you going to do? You going to keep doing it, or you going to adapt?
Switch it up. Do something different.
Yeah, you're going to switch it up. You're going to adapt to achieve your goal of putting that ball in the hoop.
Yep. And that's all he's saying. ladies and gentlemen. You have to learn how to adapt. Going all the way back to his story, you could see plenty of times where he adapted. You know, he lost one parent, he had to adapt. He had to move, he had to adapt. He had to go into the education career field. Guess what? He had to adapt. He wasn't doing good. We go all the way back. Wasn't doing good in school. Had to adapt, right? And so yeah, that's how your life's gonna go. You need to adapt, and evolve. And I'm gonna leave y'all with that. And we out of here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And thank you, Kaya.